For today's correction, so today we talked about the silver-aged people in Japan. Uh, Starting with Stephen, uh, one of the first corrections I got for you was at the very beginning of the class, when you introduced yourself. So you said, "This is Stephen," and this is actually a common mistake, actually. Now, if you're making a phone call,
Yeah.
you can say, "This is Stephen."
Wow.
However, when you're meeting in person, I'm Stephen. Yeah, yeah. Nice to meet you. I'm Stephen. Yeah. So, if you're introducing yourself in person, say I'm Stephen. If you're on the phone, then saying this is Stephen is okay. Yeah. In fact, I'm kind of guessing that maybe you do some conference calls once in a while, or you were involved with. So
Yeah,
that's,
sure. I have sure used to.
that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people that do that, they get that experience from conference calls. Yeah. The next thing is you said every day my boss pushing me to learn English more. My boss pressures me or my boss encourages me. I'm not sure which way works better for you, but my boss pressures or encourages me to improve my English. You can say improve my English or improve my English ability or improve my English skill. It's up to you. Then you were asking, J1, you said, does your job also related with procurement? Isn't your job related to procurement? So you can take it also. Isn't your job related to procurement because you're just saying in general, right? Instead of does your job, because does is technically for it's past tense for like multiple things. So isn't your job. Next, you said recently my business status has changed, and you said changed, like you pronounced like that. So recently things in our business have changed. So recently things, I said things in our business, you can say our business status, but usually when you say our business status, it might sound kind of scary, like that, because you're talking about like the status of how something is going. And so, if you are talking about the status, it might sound like you're expecting things to end soon or the status is not good. So recently things in our business have changed. And that sounds very neutral, have changed instead of has changed. Then you said, I want to work even if it's not as a job. You might call it volunteering. So you can make this more simplified because you said, I want to work, and then you said another part, even if it's not a job, and then you said another part, you may call it volunteering. So you can make that all one sentence. I still want to work even if it's just volunteering. Yeah, you can just put that together. And last, you said, at that time, I could choose anything on my own. So you should use the past tense of choose because you're talking about at that time in the past. So at that time, I could choose anything. Yeah, or I could have. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Now I corrected myself. I could have chosen anything. Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes I correct myself too. So I could have chosen anything. J1, earlier when you introduced yourself, you said, I'm so wondering how the sessions. So I'm curious about your sessions.
Curious.
Yeah, I'm curious about your sessions. Stephen had said something and you said, so do I. But the way you responded was actually incorrect. It should have been me too. So do I is like at the present. If Stephen says,
So did I.
well, me too is better, yeah, because so did I doesn't really work. Yeah, me too. I wish I could remember exactly what he said because it applies to that. Now, so do I is like, if Stephen said, I want some coffee, then you can say so do I. Yeah, it's like at the present, right? And then you said, I'm envy of you. I envy you without I am. So I envy you, know of.
I envy you.
Yeah, I envy you. Yeah. And last, I will worship of my ancestor. You're talking about for Chuseok. I'll participate in our ancestral ceremony. Usually, ancestral ceremony is what we call it. So a lot of people ask me this: how do you call the ceremony for Chuseok? Yeah. How do you call this for Chuseok? Ancestral ceremony. Yeah. Or sometimes, oh, you know what? There's an even better way. I always do this. So here's another option. I pay respect to my ancestors. I pay my respects to my ancestors. And those are your corrections. Thank you guys very much.